1, 2. Guess that's fine. And we will transition. Okay, I'm going to start now. All right, folks. How's it going? Just here in CLO3d. Seems that I'm streaming. Seems that I have audio. And everything I think is good to go. Just double checking anything or everything or whatever we've got here. So cool. All right. So I'm just going to be making something completely from scratch. I've been doing some music videos and stuff lately, animated, and making some clothes for some of my characters. But today I'm just going to do I guess a generic outfit just for practice sake. So I think I'm just going to bring in let's see, hopefully this will go well. I think a male avatar. Let's just use this dude. I'm gonna make him look a little more like the character that will be in the video, just for the sake of, not that it matters. Not that he looks like that, but, and let's, I don't know, that or that, probably go that route. And, all right. He's decent, so that's what, that counts. And let's just get this up here and just start making him some stuff. So if you've never worked in CLO3d or Marvelous Designer before, hopefully you'll learn something. If you have, try not to judge me too harshly, because we're just making stuff. So I found out something cool and new about this, which I did not know, that you can actually draw on the avatar. I think it's a pretty new feature, but that really helps a lot with getting your stuff sized correctly to begin with. I'll just use this 3D pin avatar button here, or tool, and you can draw literally right on the avatar. If you need to, you can hold down control. Sorry, I'm having problems navigating here. You can hold down control and get your curves and stuff, but you can always fix and take care of that stuff later. But like here on the leg, if I click here and then hold control, then I can get that curve going, which is pretty necessary, I think, to kind of keep the curves aligned with the leg and just make it look good. I'm going to come down to about here, click there, and then I'm going to wind up making 4 points, and you could hold shift if you want to make that completely level with the floor. Just making 4 points around this leg, which will allow me to have inseams and an outer seam. And let's see, there should work. I'm not sure why that's not clicking, but let's, or finishing. Let's go ahead and double click maybe, enter, right click. Okay, that just totally made that not work. So let's go ahead and go back here, and I'm just going to do this from this standpoint here, starting at the ankle. Maybe it'll have some better luck. We could have no luck whatsoever. All right, and just kind of like that, still holding shift. You can see I've got, there we go. Now we've got that line around the ankle. So now I'm going to have to redo my little waist area up here, but that's not a big deal. It's been a minute since I've worked in here. I'm noticing I'm kind of forgetting my navigation. So just up to here, yeah, probably about right there is good. I did not want that to be a curved one, so I'm going to start that one over as well. So we can click and drag with control there, and click and drag with control here, but then when I click here and continue, I'm just going to go without the control, so I get a nice straight line, and then I can click control here. It shouldn't mess up my top part. I think it's fine. Click, I'm still holding control, and right into that part should be good. There we go. And so the inseam, I'm going to wait just a second on that, and I'm going to come down from here straight down to there. And just looking, it should be good to go. I might not have gone back as far as I should. So we'll just one more click a little farther back. And then now we can sort of offshoot to the side here, down, and I'm just kind of halfway through the leg there. If you need, you can click and hold Control, get your curves working, and then all the way down to this point we made here. So now we have that inseam as well. So strange enough, I mean, it's cool that this will become its own solid panel. And right now all we have to do is click some points here to make that back panel just across and straight down to that point there. Now see, we have that little bit of an issue, so I'm going to undo that and do this again, but I'm going to come across. Might as well click and hold the Control key. That seems to have not been exactly what I wanted, but that works fine. I'm going to click to about here and just come in here and make sure we're going kind of as straight as possible to that point. And once we have it, we have all we need for the front and back panels, if you can believe that. So now we'll go in and hold here and select flatten. And where this turns blue, we can click and we can rotate around, hold shift and click this when it turns blue. It's a little touchy. And then we click enter and we now have those two panels created. And they are already stitched together, you can see here and on the inseam. And they are here in our pattern window. And I can click those, or click on those and get them where they need to go. That's the front, this is the back. And we need to mirror those because if we simulate it right now, those would just fall off the character or the avatar. I call them character pretty often because I work with characters constantly. So we will just now apply this symmetric pattern with sewing, and voila, that will create the other half of this. And all we have to do now is sew across the middles, of course. Probably just segment sewing here. So get it? From here to here, we can go here to here, just making sure our little notch there or key or whatever it is in the correct position. I think I'm going to do free sewing here though, just will go faster to kind of come down. Now this, I'm not sure exactly how that is working out. Let me just find out where it's at. If it's running down the leg or, yeah, that's a little piece running down the leg. So for here, we're just going to go from the top to that top blue bit. We're going to come over here, come on now, over here and continue this to that piece as well. The inside of that should be sewn, that little section there, but if not, we can always fix that. And let's simulate and find out what happens. So that looks okay for some standard, straight, pretty vanilla pants. They're very tight, but they're not tight on his body. They're made, you know, form-fitting to his body. So we can change that or not. This is going to be kind of a cyberpunk outfit, I believe. So I think I will, for now, sort of leave the tightness. I kind of want them a little looser in the leg, though, now that I think about it. Man, I keep right-clicking instead of middle-clicking and dragging. All right, so let's see. As far as working out, straightening this leg out, I could have drawn these over here straight, but I kind of wanted to get them more form-fitting. But now that I think about it, I'm almost thinking about cutting and sewing them here and then drawing the pattern straight so I get straight leg jeans or, you know, leather pants or whatever these are supposed to be. So let's just try that. I'm just playing today. So let's do an internal line, and we're just going to kind of come from here to there. We'll go ahead and click enter on it, and we're going to do the same thing if possible. And I keep right clicking right here on the front as well. See if we can get approximately the same length or distance out of this. So I'm just going to come from here to like so, and click there, enter. They should be approximately the same length at this point. We're just going to get rid of the bottom half here. So what we're going to do is take both these lines, which should be symmetrical now. So we do have them on both sides. We're going to take both of those lines and we're going to right click, and instead of cut and sew, we're just going to cut, and then we're going to delete the bottom half, basically leaving us with a pair of shorts, which shorts is not what we're going for, but you get it. So we're going to have to click these ones over here separately and delete those too. So now we have shorts. We got 3/4 of the shorts. There we go. And now you can see this is a little bit different of a length in the front. So the fronts are longer. We're going to have to work on that, and that's pretty easy to do. We just change the length of this back outside section. Let's see what our inseam looks like. The inseam seems okay, and we're just going to change the length of this outside piece here. And the way we check is just to click on this and see the length of it. So it's 364.7. This one is 340. So it's a little shorter, you notice, than that one. So we really need this 364 and this here to be 364.7 as well. So we click on it, we right click it, change length, 364.7 I think I said. And we want that to not lengthen up here. We want it to lengthen at the bottom, so we'll put end, and then we will say OK. And now when we resimulate, these should be completely lined up, and they are still not, which is my favorite thing in the world. Wonder why that is. Well, let's find out. I know they're longer up here at the top, so that's part of the issue. Maybe we did need to change that. So let's undo our adjustment here and make these 364.7, but do put them at the top. So let's go ahead, 364. I mean, there's definitely a right way to do everything, but sometimes you got to kind of poke around and guess and see if that helps. So that did add to the top. However, it did not change the bottom. So we'll do this one more time. The top, in my opinion, is fine. It's flat. It looks good. This is our problem here. So once again, we're going to poke around and figure this out. That is our back side, and that needs to be lengthened on the outside, because this is going to be our inside. You can see that curve is what, you know, hugs the shape here. So we just need to make this as long as that. This one is curved though, which is probably giving us some of the issue we've got. We could also lengthen this to match the length up and down, which might be the solution here. So once again, 364.7, we're going to lengthen this to 364.7, 364.7, and we're going to let it do both up and down. I have a feeling it's still not going to work though, but let's just simulate and see where it goes. Yeah, weird, because it's saying it's as long, but it isn't. That's a weird one. You got me, folks. I don't know why that's happening, but we're going to figure it out one way or the other. Or I'm just going to quit for the day, because to heck with that. All right, so that's all right. Let's just see how much longer it needs to be. Let's just drag this and move it down. I'm just going to eyeball it. And we're going to simulate, and it's still longer in the front. Why is this happening? It just keeps making it longer and longer in the front. I think that I need to make this the same length as it should be, 364.7, and then we will delete our sewing, because something is glitching here, I think. We're going to delete our sewing. Yeah, that's what it is. It's only sewing to that piece. And now we're going to sew, let's just segment sew this from here to here. I'm going to double check that that is, I keep right clicking, that is sewing both sides, which it is. Now we will get that worked out. Okay, sorry about that. I had a bit of confusion myself there for a second. Okay, good to go. And now allowing to put those legs back in here. So instead of drawing them tightly against the body like I did, let's find out if we can just draw a polygon that will be the length of the leg. And, okay, hang on. Click and draw down approximately where we want those to go. I'm going to make them slightly smaller at the bottom because, you know, they are kind of tapered. They're straight, but they're kind of tapered. And we'll complete that, and we'll have this panel. I'm going to move the panel away so I can see, you know, where it needs to be sewn. And we'll just do a segment sewing from here to here, keeping our notch on the correct side. And this one does need to be duplicated to be symmetrical. So we're going to go symmetric pattern with sewing to this side as well. So this one will now be stitched to that side. Something I like to do as well is to grab the pattern piece and move it as close as I can to the avatar so that there is less issues with it snapping and everything when you simulate, and it doesn't get caught up in the avatar itself. These probably will be needing to be lengthened a bit, so let's, before I do too much, get that done. I'm just going to pull those down a little bit so that they're kind of crumpled, because they are going to move up a few inches to stitch to this, but they also need to be a little bit crumpled at the bottom. And once again, we'll do the same thing here, and then we need to make sure that these seams that will be sewn to each other are the same length front to back. So with another bit of polygonal drawing here, we'll just snap these out. I'm just going to go with a little bit of a, there we go, and there we go. And now we will grab that polygon, let me see, oh, here we go. And we will duplicate that, but let's sew it first. And then we'll get our links correct real quick. So with our segment sewing, we'll just go here to here, and it sews it on both sides, but we did not flip it yet, so it will not sew it on both sides until we have that. Let's get the length for the pieces that will be sewn together correct. So this one is sewn to this one, as far as I remember. Yes, it is. So we need to make sure that we can sew this piece to this piece. This one is 695.7. We want it the same as this one, so 668.5. Let's go ahead and change it. 668.5, almost the inseam of the beast. 668.5. There we go. And we want to probably do that, I think, from the bottom at the end instead of the top. There we go. And say yes. And then once that processes, we can check the inside seam, which is 656.5. This will need to be changed to 660. Okay, let's check the number again. I already forgot. 656.5. 656.5. And that one needs to be done exactly like so, and we'll say okay to that. So now they're done left and right. We just need to copy this one over symmetrically. And let's sew it first, though. Not that we have to, but let's get this here. It looks like it may be backwards, so I'm going to rotate that dude around. And that's probably just because of the normals. We'll get that in place like so. Just going to angle it a little to give it a better chance at stitching properly, and like that's okay. Now we're gonna, let's go ahead and symmetrically clone that like that. I say clone, but you know what I mean. And now we can just sew these in this window a little easier, I think. So here to here, boom, and we'll go, let's see if I can even see these dudes here. Let's go. Not sure why we're getting that. Let's, oh, I didn't click, I don't think. There we go. And then we'll go from that one to this one. And everything should be good because it symmetrically sews those together. Those look reversed, though, now that I'm thinking about it, but they may not be. Just double checking. That seems okay. That seems okay. Let's just give it a go. So we'll simulate to get our pant legs, and those look fantastic, honestly. Very happy with that. All right. So something we can do to help these look cooler. We already have these seams across here because of the way we kind of straight-legged those pants. We might as well make a strip, cut it off, sew it back, and make that section thicker than the rest of the pants. That way we'll have this cool thick seam running right across the leg. We can even duplicate that down lower, about halfway, you know, from the length from top to bottom there. I think that would look pretty good too. So let's do that. I'm not sure I like this dip in the front of the pants. It's fine, but I don't think that's kind of standard thing for pants. So to fix that, let's just grab this guy, pull it up a little bit like that. Pull this guy up a little bit like so again. In fact, we can get rid of this point altogether. We'll straighten that out. And then go ahead and, seems to be good. Go ahead and simulate again. If we have any looseness here that we don't want, we can always taper this outside in on both, like it is kind of done in the back, or we can also put elastic or a belt. I think what I might do is just pull this in slightly and then curve, because you can edit your curvature a little bit right here to account for that. Here we go. And go ahead and simulate again. It looks like those hug maybe a little better. And looking good. So let's go ahead now and let's double those seams we just made, as I was saying. An easy way to do that is just to draw an internal line. Or actually, no. Let's offset the line we already have. So we're going to take this line. We're going to right click and we're going to offset as internal line. And however thick you make this is how thick this little seam is going to be. I say at least 10. That looks pretty good. We say okay. Now this one we just created, we're going to right click and go cut and sew, and it will separate that and sew it back together. So now we have this little strip. And the cool thing about this little piece is now we can come in here and scroll down, and where it says additional thickness rendering, because right now it's acting like it's 2.5 millimeters thick, but it's not visibly that. I think we should go ahead and do at least 3 for the visibility of it. And you can see now we've got this cool bump essentially where that seam is at, so it shows up like it's you know, done that way. Let's figure out what the width of this is really quickly so we can match it to the back. So this, and it's going to be an odd number, I'm sure. 10.1. We're going to need to do a 10.1 from the back as well, cut off of the bottom piece. So we're going to once again click this line, right click, offset as internal line. It's going to be 10 millimeters. It's going to say 10.1 in the end, it should. So now we're going to cut and sew that piece, and once again click here and say that it is in fact 3 millimeters thick. And now we should have this cool seam there. You can see it there. Runs all the way around the leg of the pants. Very kind of military, a little bit cyber as well. I almost want these to sag more so there's more wrinkles in the legs. What do you guys think? Yeah, I hear you. I hear you saying yes. That's what counts. I listen to people who don't have a voice, like you guys at home, not able to talk to me. Okay, cool. Let's just keep going and stop being weird. And I'll pull those down just a couple more inches, like so. And now we resimulate, and those should bunch up a bit more like that. Perfect. I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah, nice. I just wanted them to have a little more lumpiness at the bottom there. I think that is the future. That's the future of clothing right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut the legs again. And once again, we have to do this now. We can't do this as an internal offset. We have to do this as an actual just internal line. So hopefully right there and right to there. That sounds good. And we will, whoops. yeah, just enter. And I want to make sure that goes to the edges. So to do that, you just make sure it's clicked, right click on it, and extend, trim, and add point to the outer line. That way it's going to make a break, basically. Now we have to figure out the distances and make sure that those distances are all the same. You can do it now or later. I don't know which is easier personally, but let's just click on this one and right click it and go ahead and cut and sew that one. Now I'm going to click here, find out what the length of this is. Now this one's going to sew directly to, let's see, that one is going to sew to this one, I believe, directly. So this length is 286.9. So I need to make an internal line that's going to essentially start at 286.9. If not, I can change it a little bit. So internal polygon line 286.9. I can't really even see where that's going to be, so I'm going to approximate it to about there. And come across and hope it's close enough and say okay. And then we're going to measure. So this needs to be 286.9. Okay, so this one needs to be extended to the edges to make points real quick. Otherwise, it's just going to account for the entire length there. So we're going to go, make sure it's clicked, right click on it, and extend and add a point to the pattern outline. Now this one we could check 256, so that needs to be 286.9. So extend 286.9, and we have to make sure that it adds it up here, not down here, and that looks good. And so this now needs to somehow be snapped to that point like this. And I believe this is going to be the other one. So this is going to be 284.1. Once again, change length, 284.1. And that is going to need to be added to the end on this one. And we'll say okay. And then we're going to move our point to that point. Then I believe now we can cut and sew that. These should stitch up correctly front to back. It looks like in here that they are. I feel like it's a little bit too low now though. I kind of wanted these about there. That's a shame. All that work. Let's do one here and maybe do a knee patch or something in between. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so now we're going to take these guys. We're going to offset these as internal lines by 10. We'll say okay, and those particular ones we'll cut and sew now. And they will become yet again another strip like above. And we'll take those two strips and give the additional thickness of 3. And then we will have this cool band running down here across the calf area. And yeah, it's starting to look good. Cool. So now, what to do about that knee area? I think he should have some kind of knee pad or something along those lines. This is where I start going, how do we do this? Let's see. My rectangle, ellipse. Let's do a internal rectangle. It's going to go approximately here to here. I think I can rotate those and move them around like any other shape. Let's find out though. Header pattern, segment, curve point, curvature. And that's the thing too, is I want to make these points here rounded. So let's do that first. I'm just doing them separate. Not giving them a particular measurement, but you know, something close enough. And let's find out. I need to be able to move this entire shape. So there it is. And we'll rotate it to kind of match the straightness of that. This probably needs to go right smack dab. That's an old guy word, by the way. Right smack dab in the middle of this entire panel, because that's going to put it right about here. And I think that's good. This is just going to be pretty much a tracing line, I'm going to duplicate this line now, copy it and paste it, say, over here. And this is going to become our, okay. So we need to, that's because I did say it was an internal line, didn't I? So now I need to make a polygon exactly like this. I don't know if I can convert to whole, convert to base. I don't know which one of these would do that. Convert to baseline. See, I want to copy and paste and clone as pattern. That I think is what, yeah, that was it. So now I can take this piece and sew it back over that one when I'm ready. But I want to make something with this one that's going to kind of do what I want to do with it. So we're going to take that outside edge, I believe, and we're going to offset that as an internal line, which looks good even just right where it's at. I believe I want to cut and sew that like so. This one will be a separate piece that's cut out of that one. This is just this little corner here is just a visual thing for how the software works. Because I think the closer I get, the more that'll smooth out, but maybe not. But anyway, when it sews it, it will. It's a resolution thing. So I was thinking it might be interesting. I don't know if I can do this or if this is even a real thing. Somehow putting a stitched, quilted kind of pattern somehow going across that. Let me see. This is me thinking again. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. I think I need to make two pieces, put pressure on one but not the other one, and then do stitching across the top. I think that may be what I need, so I'm going to duplicate this one. Let's see, copy, paste. And this will be the outer layer, the inner layer, and this will be the seam kind of frame around it. I think that will work. And then this guy, we're going to do some internal lines, I think, or some stitching, along those lines. I don't know if that is going to be doable, but we're going to try. So internal line, what's this? Top stitching, I don't know. So internal polygon line, we're just going to go straight from this to this. Okay, we're going to say enter. I'm going to do, I guess, a few of those. I'm just making this up as I go, in case anybody's wondering, or you couldn't tell, which I'm pretty sure you can. Let's go from here to here, enter. And I'm just trying not to touch the edges right now. That one looks a little closer than it should be, but there are worse things. And it's cyberpunk. I mean, these people probably put this together on the fly, post-apocalyptically somehow, right? Let's just go with that. And this really is just a test. I'm going to move a couple of these points around. It appears, though, that I have... Oh, I've got the wrong tool. All right, let's go grab the correct one here. Move this around. I have a snap on, and I don't really want it on, but I'll tell you the truth, I don't know how to turn it off. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't know where to turn that off. I've looked, actually, quite a lot and can't find it, even in preferences. Hey, look, snap to pattern. I guess I didn't look hard enough. So now I can move this around how I want. I'll have to remember where that was. So this, I do want to snap to edges, though. So we're just going to hopefully get that to happen. And if it doesn't, then I can always go in and extend these to the pattern outline, and it works the same way. Yeah, because they are not extending to the pattern outline there. Let's draw the other half of this, and I hope what I'm doing is correct. So yay, this is getting to see what I do first time out, possibly screwing it all up. You guys get to see the ugly part today. All right, let's try one more here. Let's try one more here. I'm just randomly, you can tell, picking where these are supposed to go. I'm going to grab this point, though, and get that a little a little more even. These aren't perfectly even, but I think they will be fine. Internal line one more, just right here, approximately. Enter. And I'm going to go back and select each one of these and get this to extend and add a point to the outline. I think I want to add a point. I might not, but I'm going to anyway. So extend and add point to pattern outline. And just continue doing that until these are all done. As a matter of fact, I think we can select all of them at the same time and apply that all at once, which would save a little bit of time. Right here, boom. Let's do it one more time to pattern outline. Boom, there we go. All right, so now that that is done, I'm trying to figure out if I want to cut and sew these, which I don't think I do. I think I want to just use those as sewing lines, and I'm wondering if I can transfer them down to here and then sew these to those, and then put pressure, like I said, on this top one to give it that sort of ribbed look. But I'm also wondering if I should do them the other direction so I have a diamond pattern, which would probably look better, kind of Star Wars-y. So, you know, why not? Probably because it's going to be really hard. Let's just start with the angled pattern here and see if it even works. So I'm going to grab these guys from this side. And it's not... Oh, I'm holding caps instead of shift because, hey, that's what y'all tuned in for. Let's make it take as absolutely long as humanly possible. All right, there we go. Selecting all these. We're going to copy these. We're going to... is there a special way to paste these? Nope. So we're going to paste these onto this one, which, yay, that worked. And I'm going to try and stitch these onto those. So we're just going to segment, so let's say this one to that one and so forth. Make sure we get them one at a time and in the proper direction. All right, there we go, and there we go. So is it weird that a guy is, you know, doing seamstress work and making digital doll clothes, basically? No, it's not. No, it's not. All right, so that's good. And then I think I'm going to try and stitch this free sew, probably, from this corner down to all the way around back to that point. I'm going to try and free sew that to all the way around, and hopefully this works, and that back to that point. And then once, well, then I also need to sew this to that, and I think I can do that segment, so I'm just going boom and boom. Overlapping sewing line, my favorite. Okay, so that's going to be one of those things that's going to be maybe hard to do. It depends, though, because I think that I might already have that sewn, because I think that was a cut and sew. I believe that it was. So let's just look here. I guess not. Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Okay, so that's good. That'll stitch. So now we need to stitch this outer frame to this one, because that is our sort of tracing line. So I'm going to go with segment sewing. Well, let's try free sewing. Top all the way around again. Boof. To top all the way around again here. Hopefully that's not going to like reverse it in some strange way, and we'll have this giant jumble of threads on our hands. Looks like I'm putting these on the back of the pants, which is absolutely what we did not want to do. So right on. Right on. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do then is grab, oh Lord, this shape. Let's use the shift key again. Grab this whole shape, and hopefully it will just let me move it. I don't know that that's the truth, but this needs to be moved to the front. I don't know that that's even possible for it to do, but we can hope and pray. that it is. And let's just grab this dude. I'm going to rotate it a little bit because I drew this on the wrong leg, or wrong side of the leg. Let's find out. I think this is all just going to fall apart, but we'll check. And yep, it just fell to itself. Okay, so with that, we need to find a way to stitch this to this and this to this now. And I'm thinking this is not proper because this is not this one's internal line. So how do we bond those as an internal line? I have no idea. I have no idea because these were originally created for that panel. It won't work that way. So this panel, this is where we want this created if possible. So I think I can trace, I think is what they call it in here. We're just going to take wild guesses at things and cross our fingers and hope they don't get underneath the needle of the sewing machine. And we're going to try and do what they call trace this and put it here. And I don't know if that's how it's done. Like I said, we're gonna give it a go if I can just figure out how to select this all and then right click it without it deselecting it all. I might have to select the trace part correctly. Hello, Herojit. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you for saying hello. And I'm going to, let's see, there is no trace there. And I think there's a trace function here, like maybe that guy. Yep. Don't know how to use it, but we're gonna try anyway. And I've got that selected. I don't know how to apply it though. I'm using the trace tool, and I'm assuming you click on something else. Yeah, see what I'm saying? I don't know how that works. I've got trace as pattern, as internal shape. There we go. And we're going to now paste, maybe? No, because it's tracing these guys. So I'm sort of figuring it out. One more time, we're going to grab this external shape. We're going to right click, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to select the trace. We're going to right click it, trace as internal lines, shapes, and then try to come over here, and I'm assuming paste, but see, it's getting something from here. Why would that be? I don't know. Okay, once again, really trying here. Let's go ahead. I'm just trying to make a tracing outline here. This is CLO3d, which is basically the bigger version of Marvelous Designer. So you can see I've been working on these pants. When I run the simulation, you can see you can grab these and adjust them and move everything around to your liking and get them to fit. Everything you do over here goes over here, but you can see my little knee pad has fallen now because it's being simulated, but it's not attached to anything. So what I'm trying to do is stitch this external shape and possibly the whole thing. Let's just go with the that line. I am trying to attach it now to this dude here, and it just, I have no idea how to transfer that shape, get it exact, and so forth. It's being loads of fun. I originally drew it on this leg, which was the back, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, but now that I've done all of this work, I don't want to have to go back and do it again. So, how would I, because copying and pasting doesn't work, it does not put it as a internal line, because if I copy it, that's great, but I want to essentially paste it here as an internal shape. I don't think that works that way. Can you clone it as an internal shape or internal line? Let's just try that. Nope, that's not what I want to do because it's selecting the outside edge. I want to paste the one that I had copied And pasting it just pastes this. It doesn't create it, I don't believe, as an internal shape on the front, although it looks like it may. Okay, well, if it does, it does. Maybe I'm overthinking it. And we'll just straighten out the knee pads to where they're more straight here, as you can see. These are for some cyberpunk pants. All right, have a good night. Thanks for playing. And now we will stitch this guy to that. So this, we'll use this one. I'm just going to free sew this whole bit. Yep. We're going to free sew that to this whole bit. And hope I'm going in the correct direction. And hopefully also this is going to wind up on the outside. So how I'm going to work this is layer 0. These are going to be layer 1, 2, and 3. So this will be, I don't want to get lines per se. I want to get the shape itself. I don't know why it's only selecting lines, but let's see. Oh, that's not cool. How do I get the shape itself? I don't want to select lines. I am on the shape selection. It's just selecting lines though. Not cool. Because I can select them here. But how do I select the polygon here? I don't want to select the lines. Somehow these are not joined, I think. Let me see if I can delete that one. Nope, didn't want to do that. See, this is making this difficult. This one should be already linked with that one, so I'm going to double check on my sewing. That one is linked with that one. So I really need just this outside shape, but it's selecting the edges instead. So if I select here, yes, I've got a duplicate somehow. That's what's going on. All right, so if I select, we're selected, we're good to go. I'm going to now stitch that, hopefully using free sewing. Hopefully that is bonded and correct. But I need to select the layers is what I need to do. I do not have that option here. Evidently, the offset elastic. Why is that the case? Because these give me layers, of course. This is not giving me a layer. It's just selecting the lines. This is driving me mad, folks. I don't want lines. There we go. I want the layer. There we go. So this will be layer 1. I guess I had more than one of those created. So this will turn green for now. This one's going to be layer 2. There we go. And this one will be, should be layer 3. I really need to turn that off because it tells me that every single time. And now we can see just how these are going to go. I'm going to simulate. These are going to snap to the knee and hopefully not give me too much trouble. Just kind of yank on them a little bit to get them to hopefully work themselves out a little faster. Trying to pull on this, and there we go. So now this outer layer, this is the one I'm wanting, layer 3. I'm wanting to add pressure because I wanted that to kind of be poofy in comparison. But it looks like it's not doing it by the threads. It looks like it's doing it by the whole piece. Which is not really what I want. I'm not sure how to go about doing that. Okay, so we'll just turn the pressure off then. And that's a little bit of a bummer. Stop simulating. Select that one again. Turn the pressure back to 0. And I will sort out how this is going to work. Possibly with thickness, I'm not sure. But for now, we will add thickness to the whole thing. Probably like a 3 as well. That way it's got some offset from the surface here. And that's okay for the moment. I need to figure out how to poof out these individual things. Quilting is what that's called. So we will work that out shortly. And then I need to also duplicate how this is working on the other side. I'm not sure how I already have it going, so that's good. So let's go ahead and select these guys here and duplicate these with sewing. They will ride over here for the moment, and we'll get our other section worked out once it simulates, and have both of those knee pads working pretty good now. Looks like my calves, though, are different heights than my fronts here. I got to make sure that my lengths of my pants are the same here and here. Let's double check why this is happening. So it looks like this is 286.9, 286.9. This is 284.1 and 284.1. So that's not the length of the pants. It's just where this somehow sits on the leg, probably because of an angle of the leg. So let's check these. 420.4, 420.4. So where they meet is fine. 410, 411.6. So there's an issue there. 410.4 the back, and the front is 420. I think if we just make this one 420.4, that'll be a good start. It's going to screw them up for a minute though. 420.4, and that'll adjust a little bit. I think I put that on the wrong edge though, so let's undo that for now and go back and fix this and add it to the bottom. 420.4. We're going to add this to end instead of start, and we'll say okay. See how that works out. Not too great yet. And then, so that one will be 411, and those should be the same, but those are our inside ones. They do need to be fixed as well. Inside and outside. So something's going on. 420.4. Starting to confuse myself, which is awesome. 420, probably because I need to eat something. 420.4, and we will say that's okay there too. Now it looks like the fronts, of course, are too long for the backs, and I don't know for a fact that it's the length of these pieces, but how this shape is at the bottom of these right there. So I'm just going to double check how that's working. I'm going to move. I'm probably going to screw this whole thing up. I'm just warning you right now. This probably just needs to be pulled down here. And we will go ahead and do that. And not a big fan of what just happened. I can undo here if I screw this up, but it's not that so much either, because that's bringing the whole thing up, which is not what we want. We want this connection point to be at the level of this connection point, which means this cut that happens right here needs to be at the level of that cut, which I thought it was, because this does say 286.9 and 286.9 and 284.1, which is more than close enough. Should not be this much of a difference. So let's undo what we've done to the patterns here and here. I'm just going to take that angle out and this other angle out like that. This is where we were, and try to figure out exactly what's going on here, because this is saying our back leg is not as long as our front piece. So our front piece, this is saying is 420.4, 420.4. The back piece, 420.4. So it's the exact same length. Why this is happening, maybe the length of these, but it is also saying that that's 286.9, 286.9, 284.1, but that's not hardly any difference at all. So we're going to go ahead and fix that, but 286.9. And it should not have any great effect on that whatsoever. But let's just do this one as well. This is when you get the non-seamstress working in here, is what this is all about. But yeah, see, so they're not changing enough to make that difference, of course. That's highly confusing because this leg is exactly the length of the other leg, but for some reason the cut and the sew and the seam are in the different place, unlike the top, which is perfectly cut. So the front and the back. This one is the back. It's odd because these are exactly the same size. I'm going to double check on just the way they look in the screen here, and it may be something wrong with the left side and the right side not matching up here. For whatever reason, they're not synchronized. I don't know. That is 420.4. That is 420.4. That is 420.4. This one is 420.4, as is this one. The bottoms are 287.9, 286.9, 286.9, 286.9, and 287.9. So it's 1 millimeter off, which makes no difference at all. We'll fix that just to be on the correct side of things, but change that at the end. But that will make no difference to the problem we're having here. I can guarantee you that. There's a lot more going on there than 1 millimeter. So, those are all correct now. Those are all correct now. So why are we having this problem, he wondered to himself. Because the problem is not anywhere up here in the top, because that is perfect. It's where the bottoms of the front and back legs seemingly are meeting. So the fronts of the legs are 420.4 from here to here. And that is also supposedly from here to here. Something is wrong. We'll have to just restitch those. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and remove the stitching. Ah, I see it right there. There's our issue. Okay, so delete that stitching. That I don't know what I did along the way, but somehow those got jumbled. That is going to be removed. That is going to be removed. It was the cut and sew somehow. Yeah, not sure. Not sure why that did what it did. So that's okay there. This one needs to be resewn segment-wise here to here. I believe just straight across here to here. Straight across here to here. And then this leg on the outside should be perfectly fine. It should line up and be good, which it is. So the issue now, we've got to do the same thing to the inside, which would be from this part to this part. We're going to double check our sewing again, and you can see this one all screwed up with these little sections that shouldn't be there. In fact, that is trying to stitch it to part of the leg instead of the other part of the other seam, and this is having another issue as well. My favorite thing in the world, to have to sit here and edit this stuff, but hey, at least we're getting it edited. So that goes to that one, that goes to that one, there to there. That should now straighten that out, and everything on this leg at least. Well, on both legs, because they are symmetric patterns. So okay, we got that sorted. Not a problem. I do feel like this is quite a bit now, almost too long. Now we've got the knee pads in there. These feel a little bit longer than almost than I want them, because those certainly wouldn't work with boots. Not that I want boots over these pants. That's not really, I don't think, what I want to go for here. But I think that's okay. You got to be careful when you have these splits though and stuff, and you change lengths, because it kind of messes with what you have sewn. As a good example of what just happened. Okay, cool. That's good there. That's good there. Let's just move on. I think all of this is doable, usable, and is fine. I'm going to give him some pockets and hopefully some type of zipper area. I'm almost thinking pockets on the sides would be appropriate, like cargo pant pockets. Let's just test a couple things out. This is going to be loads of fun. I'm trying not, I don't want to put them over these seams because that will be a nightmare to work out what stitches to what at this point. So I think, for one, I'm going to move these knee pad pieces out of the way, just to down here. I remove some of that stitching that's not being utilized right now because it is slowing everything down. We'll get those there. So pockets, we could try and do that real quick. Also, we need some type of waistband, I think, and I'm thinking about making it above instead of below, because these are a little bit low rise. I think they can still use a waistband on top of there. So we're gonna just select the top line of everything here. We're going to do offset as a pattern outline, and I think we'll go, let's go 30 and see if that's too much. But I think 30 is fine. Just going to go with default corners, I think, for the moment. And that should be okay. Those internal lines, once they process here, not sure why they're taking so long. We will do a cut and sew on those. Give him some toned abs. Yeah, but this is not, I'm not working on the figure, we're just working on the clothing here, just so you understand. So I did this and I didn't put an internal line. So I'm going to go back and get this to do the pattern outline. We have to click create internal line because I'm going to have to cut and sew that line right here. So we just cut and sew. And do I know you, subtropicals? Kind of curious. Okay, so that is cut and sewed. I do not believe, I mean, it may be. Let's see if it's sewn end to end, which it's not, which we do in fact need. So let's just go ahead and sew these guys there. We will sew across the front as well to there. And we need to sew the back portion to the other portion of the back. So now those are all contained together. He has a waistband. That waistband definitely needs to be, I think we need to widen it a little more for starters, because that would be one skinny belt. I mean, this is supposed to be some kind of cyberpunk dude that's like, I mean, maybe he's a bounty hunter or something. Who knows? So we'll just do that, and then we'll have to go back and edit our sewing because, well, nope, those actually transferred over just fine. So now we'll do this again. Looks good. I think that's going to work. And what we're going to do is thicken these areas, because right now they look like paper. We'll just grab these particular pieces. Since they're symmetrical, they will change left and right. And we will do these in additional thickness. Let's do them at 3 millimeters. And now we'll get a little bit of beef out of that waistband. It won't look so paper thin. So that works there just fine. We might want to go a little more. I mean, it's a little bit thin. Let's try 5 just to be bold. Kapow. And now we've got this sort of thicker band going around. And in the front now, and we do want to put a thicker seam no matter what here, but I think I'm going to try and do one of those sort of tabbed looking, I don't want to say what just came to mind, areas for the zipper. And let's go ahead and just draw an internal line there. In fact, we could probably offset, but I think it's going to be kind of an issue for me. So let's just do an internal polygon line, probably from, let's say, about here, and curve that up to there, just like that. Press enter. I'm going to extend that, of course, to the, and we have to select the whole thing apparently, and extend this to the pattern outline. There we go. Now we can take this to a cut and sew on it. I also thinking, let's just leave it. We're gonna cut and sew. If I select it properly, cut and sew that piece out. Peace out, yo. And it's gonna duplicate it though, which I didn't really intend for, but hey, whatever. It looks fine. It's cyberpunk. And we're gonna take that piece now. We are going to make it thicker. Let's go with like 3 or 4. Let's do 3 because that's what our other seams and whatnot are. So we have a little bit of thickness. These look like pants from like the band ABBA or something, you know, from back in the 70s, because they're all white right now. Don't worry, it's all white. All right, and then we're going to eventually add buttons and stuff here. But let's, at the bottom here, do an offset internal line and give these like a little bit of a, you know, turned over hem. I'm not going to fold this. I'm going to do a shirt that he does have turned over cuffs though. All right, so let's just take these here. We're going to use that leg and that leg, or the front and backs, I should say. And we're going to right click and offset as internal line. Let's go with the standard 10 that we've been using. And we're going to select those, right click and cut and sew. And then we're going to take those particular pieces here, and we're going to give them a thickness of 3. So now he also has these cool little cuffs, you know, thicker parts down there around the bottom. All of this, it'll run slower, but we can, when we get ready to export this out, before we do that, we can process it one last time and have all this cloth set to a much higher resolution so that these fall a lot nicer. I can kind of show you and then turn it back off now. We'll just grab, say, let's just grab everything, and we'll turn it back off here in a sec. But I just want to create the particle distance on these guys down to 10 instead of 20. We'll get a nicer fall of the wrinkles once everything settles, and it'll look more real overall once it's done that. We didn't tell it what kind of fabric this was yet, though. I mean, this could be leather or whatever, but I think for now this is just this is the default. It's like cotton or something, you know, type of a scenario. I think I will make these pants possibly shorter. They do look a bit over crumply, in my opinion, which may screw us up on our stitching, but let's find out. Let's just go for it. So I'm going to grab these 2 bottoms here. I'm just going to raise them up, take off quite a bit of distance there, try to keep them somewhat straight, and go ahead and resimulate. And that I think that's better. They still have the crumple, but they're not like you know, he's just like an escaped convict or something. All right, cool. That works for me. So now we have that. We can do some top stitching or any of that kind of stuff we want to do. I want to give him side seams now, though, because this looks just too flat. He also needs some back pockets and some side pockets, which we haven't gotten to. I think I'll do the side pockets first. Trying to see if that's going to make it difficult or easy for when I do the side seams, but let's just go ahead and try. So we'll go to the front here. We're gonna have to make a panel essentially that sits behind the pockets, where when we cut the pocket out, he still has pant material there. So I'm just gonna make I think a rectangle will be fine. I might have to change my mind about that. Just something that's longer than the actual opening is going to be. And then we will essentially cut that. I got to be careful once again about my stitching, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. Let's go ahead and create an internal line right here, and probably something like this. And I'm just going to come down, then I'm going to click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. Shouldn't be so much dragging. I kind of messed that up. Let's go again. Just going to click here, click here. I can curve these after the fact, so I shouldn't really be too worried about that. I'm just going to click to there, press enter. Hopefully this goes to my edges. See, now we have this correct pocket shape, and I can come in here with our smooth curve tool and get on these and just pull them out, and then now we'll have that nice curve where those sharp points were. It'll leave 3 points behind, which is totally fine, and we'll be good to go. Now what we need to do is cut along that line, get rid of this corner piece. So we're just going to edit pattern. We're going to select that line, right click and cut. It will separate it. It's not sewn to anything. Another way of doing this, which might have been the better way to do it, is to get rid of this. Let's do that. Let's get rid of this one that I made and just use this piece that's been cut now, and I can actually extend this to hide and to be the new piece, I believe. So we're just going to pull this down, the same thing here. And this will basically be our new, let's get rid of that point. This will be our new inside of the pocket, just like so. I will have to adjust all of its sewing now though. So get it? This one says it's sewn to there, but we're going to have to delete that because it now has to have a new seam where and where it's sewn. I'm going to move it over to where we can see everything. So it has to sew to the top. This has to sew to the top. This has to be on the inside, and this now has to be on the outside. Hopefully not causing us any problems. So I'm just going to say this piece now, it's a layer 0. It's going to have to be a layer 1. I don't think anything is affected by this being a layer 1. This one will be a layer 0, so it lays underneath. This upper band should probably also be a layer 1. And now that I think about it, it's probably got to be a layer 1 all the way around just to be safe. And it's going to turn it all green because that's what it does for the layers that have numbers that have been changed. So both of those are also going to be layer 1. And we'll say, okay, in fact, this one now has to also be a layer 1, being on the left side. Cool. So now the pocket little flap will lay behind that flap. Back to this now. It's a little confusing, but we're going to free sew this guy to this guy here. Just like that. So now it will hang from the waistband. It'll be behind the front pants. And I also have to figure out how to, I need to sew it from here to here and get that to sew to my back side of the pants as well. So first things first, I need to delete this sewing here, and I need to re-sew that with free sewing from here to here and from here to there. So now it's going to be sewn to the back side and it's going to be sewn to the top side. It is not sewn to the inside just yet. It may not need it. It will move around though if we don't do it, if he's moving around, so I got to be careful about that. I could also do what's called strengthening, where I click on it, right click on it and say strengthen, which makes it a lot tougher. It may or may not help it. We'll find out. We'll strengthen that one as well. And the sewing from both these sides should be the same on both sides, so because they are a symmetric pattern. Let's simulate and see what happens. These should bury themselves below the top layer of the pants, and we should have a decent pocket. Now you see though, this is almost stretching towards visible. That would make kind of like a hole between that you can look down through and well, you don't want to see things in there. So that would mean, you know, it would be safer for us to make this wider and sew it farther across, because right now it's at its barely limit. So let's just go ahead and do that. And the best way to do that would be to delete the sewing on that, to grab the corner of that, which is fine. We can even make this bigger if we want to. It doesn't matter. This will all be tucked underneath. And then sew with free sewing from here to here, and then from here to here, to ensure that we've got that covered. So now when we re-simulate, that should be all taken care of and hide itself underneath. As you can see, we can sort of see through it, just because the way the program works right now. And that looks good. I think that works perfectly. The pockets may be a little stretched. I kind of think they are. I'm going to move this piece out of our way real quick so I can see how that's happening. You can see the difference. Those pockets are kind of pulled in a little bit, but I think they're okay. We might want to straighten this line some. And there's two ways. We could just move the point out, or I could delete that point altogether and give this a more straight line, and then the body will make it have the curve, and those will be a little bit more stable pockets. It's another way to do it. It's got a little pucker right there, but I'm not horribly worried about that. We're going to, let's just edit the curvature of these slightly, like this. Just kind of feel better if they're a little bit more curved. Yeah, saying that takes down any kind of ripple or anything that's happening there. Also, we're going to cut and sew an edge on these guys to where it has a nice seam or hem right there too. And that's just a matter of, and so totally simple, just going and offsetting that as an internal line. We keep it at our 10 millimeters. We say okay, right click, cut and sew that, and then we select that piece, and now we can give that 3 millimeters of thickness, and we have this nice kind of pocket edge right there. And I think we're going to be fine, because I think I'm going to put the hems for this stuff all along the back side, the back panels of the pants. So I think that'll look pretty good. I will put another seam right here that will be thicker than this one is. I think that'll just work out for itself, though, in the end. We'll find out. But I think it's all looking good for now. Let me know what you think. If this has helped you at all, we'll come back and do the rest of the pants and or a shirt after a while. And cool. Talk to you guys then. Have a good one.